development manager here at Liquidium. We have our co-founder and CMO, Mr. Jay here.
Let's go.
And we also have the CEO of Hermetica, Jacob. Welcome.
Yeah.
So to start things off, I have a little eat situation over here. I air fried up a quick sandwich. Got turkey, salami, 2 types of cheese, a little spinach going on there, and pulled out a good old Blue Moon to go ahead and cheers you guys to, because we got some nice alpha going down in here today. And I'll let Jay take it over from here. Jay, go ahead and talk to the crowd here, man.
Yeah. I got just pouring water here. I already ate. So yeah, I'm not prepared, but yeah, happy to have you guys here. Today's another episode. It's kind of different. We do have Jacob here, who launched with Hermetica a few days ago, and yeah, we thought it might be interesting for people to explore stuff. So yeah, happy to welcome you, Jacob, here. Maybe introduce yourself, and then we can kick things off and talk a little bit about stables on Bitcoin. Let's go.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I'm Jacob, founder CEO of Hermetica. We just launched a Bitcoin-backed yield-bearing stablecoin on the Runes protocol. So super excited to dive into how that exactly works and why we're building it, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, my lunch is Pellegrino water, and I got a nice Cohiba cigar here, actually.
Nice.
Let's go. Let's go.
Light now.
Do it. Yeah, I'd say to start things off, maybe you can tell people here on Discord and also on Twitter, like where you're coming from, like what got you into building Hermetica and so on, and yeah, just tell them about yourself and about the awesome stuff you're doing. I think a lot of people are interested, so yeah, happy to hear that though.
Yeah, thanks. Absolutely. Yeah, let's see. Where do we start? I'm a fellow German, like Jay, and I've always been an entrepreneur. Always been into technology since really like my teens. Started my first businesses in my teens, like buying and selling stuff on eBay, tinkering around with computers, stuff like that. Also, then got in my earlier 20s, I got involved in a business in Africa, which was selling eyeglasses, producing and selling eyeglasses in the developing world, mainly in West Africa, South America, some in Asia, which brought me around the world in some of the most remote and most underdeveloped places. I won't call them poor because they're definitely not poor in many aspects. And I did that for 3 years. It was very successful. We sold over 200,000 eyeglasses and really brought a product to a market where people were like thanking God for us to bring the product, which was really an amazing experience. And the one thing that it taught me or showed me is that how the economies work in other countries. Growing up in Germany, everything is like nice and clean and everything works and the money works, right? And if you're in Africa or in South America, the money doesn't work. And actually the money is oftentimes used to exercise control over the population. And so then in 2015, I came across Bitcoin. I really dove in 2016. And very quickly, so my background allowed me to see Bitcoin as a technology for freedom. That's really how I see it, right? Technology for freedom and prosperity. Because if we have a money that is based on Bitcoin and it's not controlled by any central party, then we can take away a lot of the control structures that are in place in all around the world, really. And so got really fascinated about technology and dropped everything I was doing at the time and dove in, which led to a number of different ventures. I always, when I want to learn something, I always basically start a business around it. I wanted to understand mining, and so how do you learn about mining? You start a mining company, bought a bunch of miners, moved to the US because there was cheap electricity, and built a mining business, which was very, very interesting because it allowed me to understand how the sausage is made, if you want, like really how what Bitcoin is behind the scenes. But it was also extremely difficult. Like mining is one of the most difficult businesses in the world, I think. And so it was educational but not profitable. That's what I say. And ended within like 6 to 9 months. I then sold off the miner, sold the business, and then got really deep into the markets of Bitcoin, like the futures markets of Bitcoin, as well as the security behind Bitcoin. I have a software engineering background. I didn't mention that, so I like dove into the code of Bitcoin, read the node software core, and really dove into how Bitcoin is made, how it is secure, and then how is it traded, and how is it. Back then it was 2017, 2018. That's when futures markets on Bitcoin were emerging, and I was there on BitMEX doing my thing, putting trades in, really understanding how futures markets work, which obviously ties into what we're doing now at Hermetica. One thing led to the other. I ended up working at Kraken in 2020, 2021, the exchange, worked there in security, worked there in also M&A. So I did some financial transactions for the company. Very interesting, very Bitcoin focused company actually, but also a massive company. And obviously a lot of different crypto elements in there, not just Bitcoin. While I was at Kraken, I learned about Bitcoin building, let's call it, like actually not just using Bitcoin, transferring, but actually building on it. I learned it through the Stacks community to some degree and other projects. And that led me to then leave Kraken in 2020, end of 2021, beginning of 2022, and start Hermetica. And really since then been building in the Bitcoin ecosystem for the last 2 years-ish. Also, met you guys, Jay, I met you, James, I met you a little bit later, but I met Jay and Robin in like late 22, I think, and really connected on that notion of building. So yeah, my background's as an entrepreneur, as a software engineer, and really a Bitcoiner.
Love it.
That's my cigar.
That's like that's like awesome. Like what a sorry, what a journey. But yeah, I can resonate with that, like how to build like a market on chain for people without like middlemen and like people who want to control stuff. And I think that's what we want to achieve and what we want to build here, right? To also, like, from my perspective, like to give people, like everyone, access to stuff which is mostly reserved for people in like more privileged countries and so on, right? Cool. This basically leads me to my first question. We already talked about that. First of all, like massive congrats on like the launch of USDH. I myself, I was privileged and able to mint and to try out the process and so on. Really cool to see. So my first question is, like, you launched USDH, and I think like a lot of people are curious, like, how does USDH work under the hood? So maybe you can share some insights there, so people can grasp like how does USDH in general work. Also maybe talk about where, like, on which token standard USDH is currently living and so on. I think that's like a good question to start that here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so USDH is a runes token. So it's the runes token standard, and how it works is essentially that the protocol couples a spot Bitcoin position with a short perpetual futures position, and that locks in the dollar value of the Bitcoin. That's how you can think of it. So if Bitcoin flows into the protocol, we execute, let's say 1 Bitcoin flows in, we execute a short of 1 Bitcoin on the futures market. That makes it locks in the dollar value, and then we issue USDH against that dollar value. So if a Bitcoin goes in now, what is it, like 64,000 ish? You would get 64,000 worth of USDH. That is the basic principle of it. So you can think of it as Bitcoin without price exposure, essentially, Bitcoin hedged. There is a yield component to this because as a side product, really as a byproduct, since we're using perpetual futures to essentially take out the price of Bitcoin, being short the perpetual futures markets or being short the futures markets in general is a income generating trade. And the reason for that is that the market wants to be long Bitcoin, especially in Bitcoin and in other cryptocurrencies even more, but Bitcoin as well. So if folks want to be long, there has to be somebody that provides that liquidity for folks to be long. And since the protocol is short, we're providing long liquidity. So we're selling long leveraged liquidity to the market, and the market is willing to pay for that. And that fluctuates with the demand for that long, like it's a market, right? Supply and demand. If folks want to be very long, which they, right now people want to be long, and if we go above all-time highs and beyond, they want to be long even more. They're willing to pay for that, and it's around 12% annualized over the last 4.5 years on average, and it can go up to 25, 26% in the bull market. That's what we saw in 2021. We pass that yield on to folks that stake their stablecoin. So you can buy USDH, you can go to Magic Eden, you can buy it right now. You get a Rune token, USDH, 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 USDH 4 times, and then you can come to Hermetica.fi. FI and stake it, and you get a liquid staking token, staked USDH, that then accrues the value from the reward from the funding rate over time, and then basically makes you more USDH. And that's the basic principle of it.
Dude, that sounds amazing. Maybe just for the audience, also for me, maybe you can just briefly touch on what is like a futures market and so on. Like, just, I'm curious too, because I'm like, I understand it that you kind of, you taking the other side, and people are basically paying that they can go long, paying an interest and so on, or like premium, right? But maybe you just touch on it really quick, so people here and also on Twitter, which are tuning in, just understand it like a little bit from a more normal perspective. That would be
cool.
100%.
I mean, futures markets are kind of this strange thing, right? If you're not like close to it, trading it, it's like, what does it really mean? How does it really work? At the end of the day, futures are what is called a derivative, and they are a financial instrument that gives you exposure to the price of the underlying asset. So there's futures contracts in really any commodity. There's futures also for stocks, for the S&P, for example. And so you can buy a futures contract that gives you exposure to an asset, let's say Bitcoin or gold, and without holding the asset, right? And that it's really a paper contract between two parties. So me and I, Jay and you, we can come together and say, I can say, hey, I want to have exposure to Bitcoin, right? And you can say, yeah, no problem, I'll give you that exposure. And we sign a contract where you say, hey, you get exposure for 1 Bitcoin, and I pay you for that, basically. And that's a futures contract. And if Bitcoin goes up, now I have exposure to a contract, and that delta, that difference, let's say Bitcoin goes from 60 to 80,000, now I made 20,000. But there's no actual Bitcoin that is being traded. It's a contract, right? It's a paper instrument or a financial instrument. That's what futures contracts are on a high level, right? And there's different kinds of futures contracts. There's dated futures contracts. There's perpetual futures contracts. Dated futures contracts end, so they have an end date. Perpetual futures contracts, as the name says, never end, so they're perpetually open, and we can just trade them back and forth. And the interesting thing is that the volume on derivatives is massive, right? Like it's much bigger than spot volume, because no Bitcoins have to physically move. There's no constraint on the actual trading of the Bitcoin. We can just make up more contracts, so to speak, and that is a huge market in crypto and really all over the world. or in any asset class. In Bitcoin, I think the open interest last time I checked was around $20 billion. So 20 billion of those contracts are open at this time. And so, yeah, that's the market that we use to essentially take out the price of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin flows into the protocol, we sell it on the futures market, but we still hold the Bitcoin, right? And just sell the exposure to somebody else. That's how you can think of it.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Now I think all of the people in the audience and myself, I got like a little education about futures. Just to touch on that real quick, like the process or like the strat you're taking, right? I heard the strat is like coming from like this already exists. So like there is like a stable on ETH, right? How is that called again? Sorry, the AC here. Athena, right? Okay.
Yeah, so Athena has pioneered. There were actually projects that did this before Athena. Athena was the one that really brought it to the mainstream, or like really hit a home run with their implementation. There were other projects before that on Solana. I know a couple. But yeah, there's this, and in general, this kind of trade is a very common trade. It's called the basis trade, where you have a spot asset and you sell the asset on the futures market, called the basis trade. It's has been done as long as there's futures markets, so for decades. But this is done by Athena on Ethereum. Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy to see. Yeah. In general, that brings me to my next question. Now you talked about, okay, this is like the threat we're taking on, right, and so on. Okay, there's Athena on ETH, right? Why did you now say, hey, let's build it on Bitcoin, and even better, build it on Bitcoin L1? Because yeah, we know ordinals and so on. Like Bitcoin, like wasn't designed for this. Like, 1 year ago, you used our Bitcoin to store value and maybe to transfer some money, but now Liquidium emerged, also marketplaces, like launch pads and so on. So maybe you just explain the audience, like, why did you decide to do it on Bitcoin? And then also, I have to say, take that route to build it on L1 and launch on L1 first, which isn't that easy, as we know. But yeah, maybe just touch briefly on that to let the people know.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I believe that we have to build the financial system on Bitcoin. We call it Bitcoin DeFi. Just a financial system, meaning we need financial products and services that are based on or secured by the most secure, most decentralized blockchain that there is, which is Bitcoin. Because from a high level perspective, what I see is that there really is we're like at a crossroad in financial markets or financial systems, and really in a crossroad for humanity in a way, because financial systems are extremely important for how society is governed. And one of those paths is a very centralized, very controlled system, which is already there, but going to be even more there in the future, I think, which is a CBDC system, like a central bank controlled ledger. And then there's the other path, which obviously we are very excited about and building on, which is decentralized path. If you see those two paths, obviously on the decentralized side, there's a lot of different other chains and other experiments, and I think they're all very interesting and useful to experiment. I'm all about technology and experimentation. But I believe that we need to build that financial system on the most decentralized chain, because that is the most resilient financial system that we can build. And that is Bitcoin. And that's why I think we need to bring financial services and products to Bitcoin. And if you go down that path, then the question is, okay, what do we need to build? We need to build lending and borrowing, which you guys are fantastically doing, right? We need to be building trade. We need to trade. We have DEXs. We need to have a number of other services and products that are hopefully coming. And we also need to represent assets that folks want to hold in their portfolio. Right? And Bitcoin is obviously an asset we all want to hold, I believe. I at least want to. But the biggest asset in the world is the dollar, and it is the unit of account of the world, right? Like every contract, every bill is really denominated at the end of the day, even if it's in another fiat currency, it is denominated in some way of form in dollars. So it is what folks use to denominate their portfolios in and their lives in. And so we need that asset as a building block for an economy on Bitcoin. And that's why we are bringing a dollar asset into the Bitcoin economy. And the other massive asset that is represented in a traditional financial world is bonds. Bonds are essentially an instrument that give you income in dollars, right? And so our protocol builds both, builds a dollar asset that is really still Bitcoin that is represented on chain. And then it builds a bond, which is staked USDH, which accrues the value from the funding rate, which is a dollar denominated asset that increases in value, which is similar to a government bond. Obviously, it's similar, it's not the same, right? It's not backed by the government, has different properties, it fluctuates, the interest rate is not fixed, et cetera, et cetera. But those are two assets that are, I think, very important for a Bitcoin-based economy, and that's what we want to bring into the ecosystem so we can then use those to build more stuff on it and use it in commerce, use it to borrow, lend, use it to create more applications and products. And then why Bitcoin L1? I think, I answered that we need to have it on the most secure chain, and that's Bitcoin L1. There's a number of very interesting Bitcoin L2 and sidechain projects, I think, in ecosystems, and we're interested in them. I'm close to the Stacks ecosystem, and we're going to be launching on Stacks and potentially other chains as well, because I believe there is a need for a lower transaction cost, faster transaction speed, more expressible smart contract environment. Bitcoin L1 doesn't have those. I think purposely, it is slow, it is expensive, it doesn't have smart contracts. We can represent our product on Bitcoin L1 pretty easily when we have done that. But there is a place and time for those environments, and that's why we're excited about those as well.
Yeah, awesome. Maybe you can touch briefly on that. Like you were talking about Stacks, like the audience also knows that like we also first before Ordinance, before we had an NFT on like inscriptions on Bitcoin, we were building on Stacks. Maybe you just can briefly touch on that. Like, yes, you're launching on Stacks later down that year or soon. Why Stacks in general, and what's basically planned on a product level? Like, what can people expect? Like, is there a bridge or just maybe you just touch on that real quick. Head to the next question.
I think that the question why Stacks is a good one. I got really excited, or I'm really excited about the Stacks ecosystem because I think it is very long-term focused and very much Bitcoin builder focused. Like the founders, Munib and others have been trying to scale Bitcoin really since I think 2017, 2018. They've been on this mission for a long time, and that reflects in the community that they have built, which is folks that are really passionate about Bitcoin and really passionate about building applications on top of it and have a long-term approach and have high integrity. I think that leadership is key, and that is present in the Stacks ecosystem. And then just the ecosystem itself, a lot of the founders are my friends. They're very grounded, very low-key, and very long-term oriented folks that just want to build amazing customer experiences and products for Bitcoiners. And that's why I'm excited about the Stacks ecosystem in general. And then there's obviously catalysts that are coming up with Nakamoto, SBTC, and others that will hopefully allow us to have a very good user experience. I'm a builder. I want to build products that people love to use. I want to delight my customers. And that I think will be possible through a blockchain that has very low transaction costs, very fast transactions, and also very good Bitcoin finality, meaning that we actually inherit a lot of the security from the mother chain, right? And there's obviously a lot of debate on how exactly that works, and if that is what is advertised, et cetera, et cetera. I think that is a good debate to have, and we should always be very focused on those elements. But at the end of the day, also it is about creating the best solutions that we can do right now, and then building them out as we go and as the ecosystem matures. So yeah, what we're going to build on Stacks is the same product. It is a Bitcoin-backed yield-bearing stablecoin, as well as an asset that can accrue the value from the funding rates. We're debating if it's going to be a bridge. It most likely going to be actually a native issuance of the token. So we'll natively issue on Stacks as well as on Runes, and you can then obviously go between those two and use us as a bridge actually.
Nice.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Now, like let's get a little bit more into different strats. Like I briefly talked about that. I was privileged to mint, and then have my USDH. Right now I'm staking it because like I do have Bitcoin, but like I myself I want to have like a little bit in dollars. And why not, like I don't want dollars on Revolut, or I don't know. I want dollars on chain. So maybe you can briefly touch on like, are there different strats people can kind of use, different strats to, I don't know, just to explore stuff with a stable. I mean, for most of the people, a stable sounds pretty boring, but I think a stable is pretty powerful if you use it wisely, right? So maybe you have some strats ready, or some, so it's like a strat you would use, for example, that we can also like briefly on integration, but back to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that stablecoin is pretty boring. I think that is a good thing for stablecoin. Boring. I don't know if I lost you guys. Can't see you. Okay, I think you're back.
Yeah, we're
Can you
back.
hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. No, I was saying, yeah, a stablecoin being boring is a good thing, right? Like you want a stablecoin to be very stable and boring and not exciting, right? Because the exciting parts are Bitcoin, the runes, the ordinals, all the very volatile and interesting projects. And a stablecoin isn't that not interesting. I think what you can do with a stablecoin is hold it in your wallet, right? And have basically a hedge against the volatility if you want that in your portfolio, right? There's a place and time to hold Bitcoin. There's a place and time to hold dollars. And then I think both of them are crucial parts of my portfolio, and I think crucial parts of everybody's portfolio in the space. And then obviously you can go and stake it and get the yield, which can be quite significant, especially in a bull market, and hold dollars, but earn yield on it that is more than 2-3% that you maybe get in your Wise account or Revolut. And then obviously we're at the very early stages, right? We released the stable coin 2 days ago. You can already borrow against it on Liquidium, so you can get Bitcoin out of that value on Liquidium. And there's a number of other integrations that we're thinking about and planning and working on, which will allow you to use the stablecoin as maybe collateral asset for perpetual futures trades, as well as use it across the ecosystem in indexes, etc. I think then there will be interesting use cases once those integrations are there to essentially do looping, create more leverage and do interesting trades. I think we're not there yet, right? We have to first build out the liquidity for it and build out the integrations. One that I'm personally very excited about is to have staked USDH as a collateral asset on a perpetual futures exchange, for example, so you can trade futures and pay the funding rate, but at the same time hold an asset as a collateral asset that accrues funding rate. So you're getting paid funding rates and you're paying funding rates at the same time, all wrapped in one. And then obviously the other one is you can borrow against a income generating asset. So you can hold SUSDH, you can go to Liquidium, and you can borrow against that. And the collateral asset that is locked into a DLC actually is still accruing yield for you while you are borrowing against it. So there's a lot of cool things that we'll be able to do down the road.
Yeah, I also want to touch on that real quick, but one question on the yield thing, I think we didn't talk about that. So right now I have my staked USDH in my wallet, right? Like how, like when we were talking about those cycles, right? Like how do those cycles work? Is my SUSDH accruing in my wallet, or maybe how does it get displayed and so on, so people just have a brief overview about that.
Yes, that's a great question. So SUSDH is the first liquid staking token on Bitcoin L1, essentially. So it is a token that once you stake it, you put USDH in, you get SUSDH out, and then now you can hold SUSDH in your wallet, and that's all you have to do. Every day, we log the reward for that day to SUSDH. So SUSDH price in terms of USDH goes up every day. And then when you want to get that back, right? When you have, let's say you stake it for a month and you want to have USDH again because you want to do something in the ecosystem or you want to trade it, you can then go to unstake it and you will get that 1 month of yield paid back in USDH. So if you put, say, 1,000 USDH in, it's a 1% yield. I'm just making up numbers, right? That you get in that month, you would get 1,010 USDH back. Yeah, I think I did the math right there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you, when we talked about that, you were talking like about a locked period. Maybe just touch on that real quick so people know
Yes.
why the lock period, and so that's maybe briefly touch on that.
100%. So the rewards are paid out every day or accrue to the token every day, and then you get the rewards when you unstake. You can sell SUSDH in the open market at any time, right? Nobody's preventing you from that. It's your token. You can sell it as long as there's a market, and there will be a market. Or like it's at the beginning, right? Right now, it's mainly focused on USDH, but SUSDH will have a market. You can get out of the position at any time. If you want to unstake it, you come to the platform, you unstake it, and then there's a 7-day cooldown period where you will have to wait until you get your USDH back. And we have that cooldown period, so it prevents users from staking right before the reward is logged and unstaking right after, right? Just like being staked for that couple of minutes. I guess in Bitcoin, it's a little bit long because you have to wait for the block times, but for 1 or 2 blocks, and so therefore game the system. If there's a cooldown period, then it's really hard to game the system or impossible to game the system, because if you unstake, you will have to wait 7 days, and then you can only do that once, right? Once every 7 days.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, also what I wanted to talk about strats, like I myself, strats wise, I use it just to hedge myself, have a little bit off the table. And I think you were talking about that, like integrations, right? And like what we today announced, obviously our seed round, but maybe if the people read through the article, we are heavily into that we want to build lending pools, right? And I think those pools for stables are pretty interesting, just to see that happening on Bitcoin layer 1, right? I mean, I read stuff on Twitter the last couple of days that like Aave is like a super example for that. Like big whales are borrowing stables against their ETH on Aave, of course, to buy even more ETH or to do other stuff. And I think that's when we will see, in my opinion, like a major use case too. Because right now, of course, people can go to Liquidium, they can borrow Bitcoin against it. But I think, in my opinion, like the holy grail is to basically not borrow Bitcoin. Instead, you deposit Bitcoin, and you get the stable out of it. So yeah, just adding on this, like I think, yeah, we're working on that. And I think that will be super interesting for people. And then of course using a stable, super important. And I also want to emphasize, like, yeah, we know stables and so on. A lot of stables, for example, UST, right? Or what's it called? Yeah, on Luna, DPEG and so on. And I think we need to again build that trust and I like I think we're on a good path there. And yeah, doing it on Bitcoin is just the right way in my opinion. And
100%.
happy to see that happening.
Yes. And I mean the pools are super. Obviously, that's also from a user experience perspective, like obviously a great product shown to be extremely well suited for the market in Ethereum and Solana ecosystem. So really excited for you guys to build that out. Hopefully soon, and hopefully we can collaborate to make USDH available on those pools. And I think I agree, like borrowing USDH against Bitcoin, that's a great product. I want to use that.
Yeah, that's cool. As I want to respect the time too, I know you got a tight schedule, but maybe just briefly touch on like a reward system you have in place. I mean, like, is there any reward system? What are you guys planning? Just to let the people know and how they can get involved.
Yeah, 100%. We have a reward system that is being built out by the devs right now. We are tracking every wallet's balance of USDH and SUSDH, and there will be a point system and leaderboard coming to our website soon, very soon, within a week, I would say, and that will allow you to, if you hold USDH and you stake it and or use it across the ecosystem with, for example, Liquidium, allow you to get points in our Hermetica point system, then and become part of our community and get the rewards from that.
That sounds amazing. I was asked from a couple of people, like we were talking about, just to touch on that real quick. We were talking about you can buy it on Magic Eden and so on. Like, how can people mint it? Like, is there any way? What should they do? That's maybe not interesting.
Yeah, that's a great question. So minting and redeeming is for approved participants at this stage of the protocol. So you'll have to go through an onboarding process with us. If you're interested in that, you can go to minter.hermetica.fi, minter like MINTER, .hermetica.fi, and fill out the application that is there. We'll ask you for a couple of your personal information, and that will give us essentially the starting block to onboard you as a potential minter or redeemer. Minters, as it says, are able to provide Bitcoin into the protocol and mint USDH, create USDH. And redeemers are the opposite of that. So you can take any USDH and redeem it for $1 worth of Bitcoin. And so those folks are very important to the protocol. They will also get special rewards in our system, in our point system. And they'll also get the ability to arbitrage the hedge, right? They can at any time buy USDH below $1 and then get $1 worth of Bitcoin from the protocol. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, head over to minter.hermetica.fi, put in your application, and we'll be in touch and we can chat about the details with you then.
Yeah, man, that sounds awesome. Yeah, and yeah, to wrap it up and also like to talk to maybe get out of this interview process. First of all, thank you really much. I think really important stuff. And like I myself, I'm like, again, even though we talked about stuff, I'm like, I understand it even more. But yeah, just for the people to know, we will be in Nashville next week. Not myself, but Jacob will be in Nashville. James will be in Nashville. We will be hosting like the Bitcoin Beach event. Hermetica is a sponsor there, so thank you very much. And for everyone who wants to meet James, Jacob, JJJ, crazy. Who wants to meet James and Jacob there. feel free to DM us, feel free to DM Hermetica. And yeah, we will hang out at the beach. We do have awesome stuff planned there. A lot of merchandise, hot dogs, cold drinks, everything else. You can play volleyball and so on. So I think that would be pretty interesting to meet those two guys in person and to talk about crypto. So everyone who's there, reach out to us. We will RSVP you. The spots are, James, you have to help me. We're pretty full, right? But like, reach out.
Yeah. So we still have a little bit of space left. We are manually accepting at this moment, but at this time we are also talking with the venue. So we may even be able to allow more people in. We're working on that on a rolling basis because we've gotten a lot more interest than initially thought, which is going to be awesome. But yeah, we're working on that. So yeah, just hit us up, DM us. We'll give you the link. We'll get you on the list, and you'll be in the holding pattern until we can do our due diligence there.
Awesome. Yeah, as I said, that's the way to meet the builders. Step by if you're in the US. And yeah, Jacob, man, thank you really much. I think we learned a lot. And yeah, I'm beyond excited to no, it's hermetica.fi, right?
That's right.
Not IO.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll drop the link.
Also, yeah, just to wrap it up, if you guys have questions, drop them now in the comments. If you want to come on stage, you can also come on stage. But yeah, just to wrap it up, thank you really much. I think, as I said, I'm beyond excited to see, yeah, in general, the ecosystem grow. I'm happy that we have now also stable. Of course, just to be transparent, there are also other stable coins. I think it's important to have more than one stable coins. We see that on other chains, but yeah, just to have those stables on Bitcoin, that's so important to see. And yeah, beyond excited to have the chance to chat to you. To everyone, yeah, Liquidium Lunch Club, I see our diehard fans here. Thanks to Satoshi, to everyone, Anubis, and so on. We really love hosting that, even though I'm not always on the show. But yeah, I'm trying to educate people, trying to stick with the people, and yeah, from my side, be excited for the next weeks to come. Nashville will be big, and yeah, just enjoy the summer. Maybe also touch some grass. We stay locked in building, and yeah, as I said, beyond excited, and yeah, we will definitely talk in the future, and yeah, grow this whole ecosystem. I think that's all about, and yeah, just happy.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Thanks for having me, and always a pleasure to talk to you. And Jay,
awesome. Then, guys,
see you in Nashville.
I'd say,
yeah, see you in Nashville.
See you in Nashville, and to everyone else, the next Lunch Club will be in 2 weeks, as those precious people are in Nashville, and we will keep you updated. And if there's anything, reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. And yeah, let's go back to building. And yeah, see you guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys. See ya.